Video begins with a montage of archival footage, newspaper headlines, and stylized graphics related to major cartel takedowns. The tone is serious and informative. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're delving into a world often shrouded in mystery and fear, a world where power is absolute and fortunes are vast. But as history has shown us time and again, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. We're going to explore the final chapters of some of the most notorious cartel leaders in history. These are stories not of glory, but of consequence, a stark reminder that a life built on violence often ends in a similar fashion. We'll examine how their reigns of terror concluded, not to glorify their actions, but to understand the inevitable outcome of such a destructive path. These stories are intense, so viewer discretion is advised. Let's begin. Our first case is that of Ignacio Nacho Coronel, a key figure in the Sinaloa cartel known as the King of Crystal. He was one of the most powerful and feared traffickers of his time, responsible for flooding markets with synthetic drugs. For years, he operated from the shadows, building a massive empire. His end came in July 2010. Mexican special forces, acting on precise intelligence, surrounded his lavish residence in a suburb of Guadalajara. Instead of surrendering, Coronel chose to fight back. In the ensuing firefight, he was cornered. It was a swift, violent end inside the very mansion his illicit profits had built, a dramatic full stop to a life of crime. Next, we look at Heriberto Lascano, better known as El Lasca or Z3. He was one of the founders of Los Zetas, a group infamous for its brutality. Lascano, a former Special Forces soldier, applied military tactics to his criminal enterprise, making the Zetas one of the most feared organizations in the world. For over a decade, he seemed untouchable. But in October 2012, his luck ran out. After a strange tip about armed men at a local baseball game in the small town of Progreso, Coahuila, a Mexican Navy unit responded. Lascano and his bodyguards were there. A short, intense shootout erupted and Lascano was taken down. His downfall wasn't in a grand battle, but in a small, almost random encounter, proving that even the most powerful can control their own fate. Now let's talk about the infamous Pablo Escobar. The King of Cocaine was the leader of the Medellin cartel, and at his peak, one of the wealthiest men in the world. His story is one of extreme power, public works, and unimaginable violence. He waged a war against the Colombian state, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. After years on the run, his end came on December 2, 1993. Using radio triangulation technology, a special Colombian police unit, the Search Block, pinpointed his location in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellin. As they stormed the house, Escobar and his bodyguard attempted to escape across the rooftops. A chase and shootout ensued. It was a dramatic public conclusion for a man who had held an entire nation in his grip. The image of his fall became a symbol of the end of an era. Another significant figure was Arturo Beltran Leyva, nicknamed El Barbas, or the Boss of Bosses. He was the leader of the Beltran Leyva cartel, a powerful organization that broke away from the Sinaloa cartel, leading to one of the bloodiest feuds in modern cartel history. He was known for his lavish lifestyle and his ruthlessness. His end came in December 2009. Over 200 Mexican Marines, acting on intelligence, descended on a luxury apartment complex in Cuernavaca. The battle was long and intense, lasting for hours. Leyva and his bodyguards refused to surrender, engaging the Marines in a fierce firefight. It was a full-scale military operation to take down one man, highlighting just how formidable he had become. He ultimately fell in the place he considered his fortress. Let's move on to Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha, also known as El Mexicano. He was another one of the leaders of the Medellin cartel, alongside Escobar. He was known for his love of Mexican culture and his extreme brutality, earning him a reputation as the cartel's Minister of War. After the government crackdown intensified, Gacha went into hiding. In December 1989, authorities tracked him down to a ranch near the Caribbean coast, thanks to an informant. When police helicopters descended, Gacha and his entourage tried to escape in a truck. The chase was like something out of a movie. In the end, he was taken down in an open field, a far cry from the opulent life he had led. It was a decisive blow against the Medellin cartel's leadership. Next up is Raymond Arellano Felix, the notoriously violent enforcer of the Tijuana cartel. This cartel, run by the Arellano Felix brothers, dominated the Tijuana smuggling corridor for years. Raymond was the muscle, known for his unpredictable and brutal nature. He was one of the most wanted men by both Mexican and U.S. authorities. His end came in February 2002 in the resort city of Mazatlan. In a strange twist of fate, he was reportedly in the city to take out a rival. During a traffic stop, a shootout with police erupted and Raymond was taken down. For years, he was the hunter, but on that day, he became the hunted. His fall marked the beginning of the decline for the once mighty Tijuana cartel. Let's discuss Nazario Moreno Gonzalez, known as El Más Loco, or the Craziest One. He was the founder of La Familia Michoacana and later the Knights Templar Cartel, organizations that blended criminal activity with a bizarre, pseudo-religious ideology. He even wrote his own Bible, in a strange turn of events. The Mexican government declared him deceased after a supposed shootout in 2010. His followers treated him like a saint, erecting shrines in his honor. However, he was very much alive. His real end came 4 years later, in March 2014. Authorities, once again acting on intelligence, located him in the Michoacan mountains. When they moved in to capture him, he resisted, and this time, his demise was real and confirmed, finally ending the myth he had carefully built around himself. Now for Miguel Angel Trevico Morales, or Z40. After the fall of El Lasca, he took control of the brutal Los Zetas cartel. He was infamous for his extreme methods and cruelty, which he used to instill fear in rivals and civilians alike. Unlike many other leaders who met their end in a blaze of glory, his capture was surprisingly quiet. In July 2013, Mexican Marines intercepted his pickup truck on a rural dirt road in the middle of the night, near the border town of Nuevo Laredo. There wasn't a single shot fired. It was a swift, efficient operation. The man who had presided over so much chaos was captured in the dead of night, a quiet end to a very loud and violent reign. Another leader who met a significant end was Amado Carrillo Fuentes, El Señor de los Cielos, or the Lord of the Skies. He earned his nickname by using a large fleet of jets to transport product, revolutionizing the trafficking business. As head of the Juarez cartel, he amassed a fortune and became one of the most powerful traffickers of his era. Facing immense pressure from both U.S. and Mexican authorities, he decided to change his appearance to evade capture. In July 1997, he checked into a hospital in Mexico City for extensive plastic surgery and liposuction. However, he never woke up. The official story is that he passed away from complications during the procedure. It was a bizarre and anticlimactic end for a man who ruled the skies, grounded forever by his own attempt to disappear. Finally, we look at Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. As the longtime leader of the Sinaloa cartel, his story is one of dramatic prison escapes, immense wealth, and a global drug empire. He was captured several times only to escape in spectacular fashion. His final capture occurred in January 2016, after a brazen interview with actor Sean Penn gave authorities a lead. Mexican Marines located him in the city of Los Mochis, Sinaloa. A fierce gun battle erupted, but this time El Chapo was apprehended. Unlike many others on this list, his end wasn't a violent death, but the death of his freedom. He was extradited to the United States and sentenced to life in a supermax prison. He is now locked away, facing the consequences of his actions in a concrete cell, a permanent end to his life of power and escape. The stories of these 10 individuals serve as powerful cautionary tales. They show that a life dedicated to crime, no matter how much power or wealth is accumulated, almost always concludes in a grim and definitive end, whether in a hail of gunfire, a quiet capture in the night, or the sterile silence of a prison cell. The empires they built were ultimately unsustainable, built on a foundation of fear that eventually collapsed upon them. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive into these complex and often dark histories. It's important to study these events to understand the full scope and consequences of this world. If you found this video informative, please consider liking and subscribing for more content. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.